This is the Begin Within podcast, where we believe real, lasting health and fitness requires you to start inside before you work out. I'm your host, Nate Slegger, and I'm here to show you behind the scenes of fitness. You already know exercise is good for you, but what about all the other things in life that affect your fitness? If you're looking for extra motivation to get started or to make sure you keep going, this is the place for you.
Produced by BeginWithin.fit.
Welcome back to the Begin Within Health Show. I'm going to share with you something today that we recently made available to members in our community, and that was a webinar focused on the 3 areas of fitness that I think are often overlooked, and they are absolute game changers. Things that you have to have on your radar if you're going to be successful in improving fitness, and of course, as a result, the reason we turn to fitness to improve health. Got to give these attention. You absolutely have to. And I wanted to make that available to you. So if you were live on the webinar with us, thank you very much for your support. And if you're listening again, this is a great opportunity to check in on those 3 areas in this little segment that I'm going to share from that live webinar. Check in on those 3 areas and see how you've been doing and answer the question, what might I do to move forward in 1, 2, or even all 3 of these areas in my life? And if you are listening for the first time, then I want to thank you so much for doing that as well. Throughout the this section I'm going to share with you of this webinar, I'm going to reference our coaching program. And if you are feeling like some support, some accountability is just what you need, and I think it probably is, then you can get enrolled right now in the coaching program and join our clients who are working every single day to develop the habits that lead them to becoming the healthiest version of themselves. You can enroll at beginwithin.fit/coaching. You can do that right now. There's a link in the show notes, or you can just enter it in to your browser, beginwithin.fit/coaching, and get set up right now. I hope you enjoy this little piece of the webinar, 3 fixes to foolproof fitness. Welcome, friends, to 3 fixes to foolproof fitness. I'm really excited to be able to share this with you. What we're going to be doing is talking about 3 of the things that our clients, the clients that I work with day in and day out, have told me are absolute game changers for them when it comes to improving their fitness. So let's dive in. I'm glad you're here. Here's the problem. I love to start with the problem. The problem is this. We all want to feel better, but getting healthier feels difficult. It feels far away. And just so you know, moving forward, I use the terms fitness and health interchangeably because I believe that is the best target for a good fitness program, is improving health, not just moving the number on the scale or going down in sizes, wearing smaller clothes. It's about health. It's about improving ourselves big time for the long haul. So that's the problem, though, is that making improvements feels very difficult. It feels complicated. And it feels like, and maybe you felt this way, everything in life can be set up to make it difficult. It feels like everything's against us and we are set up to fail. So that's what we're addressing tonight here together. And most of the time when we try fitness, it doesn't work out because it doesn't actually change us inside. We're just focused on an external result. So as a result of that, the root cause of the negative results we've been getting, it stays, it remains because we're not changing who we are. So in other words, the results that we have today are the sum total of choices we've made, the person that we are up to this point in a lot of cases. And most fitness attempts don't solve the root causes of what got us here. And so, with that remaining, right, just like cutting down weeds, we don't pull out the roots, they're going to grow back. And so, what ends up happening is as we try fitness, as we try diets, as we try pro workout programs, whatever it is, we oftentimes lose motivation. We end up giving up. And the thing that breaks my heart the most is that people oftentimes think that they're the problem. They're the reason that it didn't work out. It's working for everybody else but me, in other words. Well, that's just not the case. The truth is, it doesn't work for anybody. And I'm going to explain to you what works a lot better than the traditional diets and fitness programs that maybe you've tried in the past. But first, let's talk quickly about this workshop and who it's not for. It's not for supermodels. It's not for athletes. It's not for people who love to work out. It's not for people who love to go on diets. And it's not for people who only want quick results. That is not who it's for. It's for people who want to improve their health and want to make a permanent change. So if you're just here for, a quick fix, a very fast result, you're like, I just want to lose weight no matter what. I don't care how I've got to do it. This isn't the place for you. But if you want results and you want to do it in the healthiest way possible, then this is the place for you. So stick around. As we move forward tonight, what we're going to talk about is control and getting control over the process, because I think that's what we all want. We all want to know that we have some control over our health and we're not just helpless victims. Does that make sense? I think what we're searching for with fitness, exercising, changing our eating patterns and the foods that we're eating is we're trying to get some control. We want to know that we can make choices today that are going to benefit us tomorrow. So just imagine if you did have more control over your health. If you could control health improvement, you really could. When you wanted a new result, you knew what to do to make it happen. When you started a new routine, you would stick to it. You would never anymore feel guilty about not doing the things that you know you should be doing. You would learn about yourself along the way. And of course, you'd be getting real results. If that were possible, if you really had control over the process, what would you work on? I want you to think about that for just 1 second. Think about what you would work on first if you knew that you had control over this process of improving health. And then what would become possible for you? We'd work on one thing for a little while, then we work on something else, then we work on something else, and we would just keep moving forward. And I think you can see that if you had control over health improvement, if we really all did, then it would impact improvement in all areas of our life, right? And that's when I get really excited about this process. That is what gets me going, is thinking and knowing that we can have control over this process and it's going to improve our lives all around. So if you haven't met me before, I'm Nate. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach. I founded a company called Begin Within Fitness. That is the company that is presenting this workshop, this webinar tonight. And I'm also the host of the Begin Within Health podcast. It's called the Begin Within Health Show. And I invite you to check it out. If you haven't listened before, please do. It would mean so much to me. If you like this message, you like this approach, I talk about it each and every week. I interview an expert in the health field and then also share just a secondary brief episode every week with some more tips and tricks that I found as I'm working with my clients. Some of the current hot topics, I just share those with you in a secondary episode every week. So 2 episodes every week in the Begin Within Health Show. I'd love to have you listen and join me there if you're not already. And if you are, thank you. I want to take a moment just to tell you about what my fitness journey in the industry was like, because it's going to give you a background to where we're headed with the 3 fixes for foolproof fitness. When I started out as a personal trainer, man, I can still remember the day I passed that certification exam. I was so excited that I was going to be able to help people. I was like the emoji on the left with the starry eyes. I was just ready to go. And I knew what to do to help people to improve their health and their fitness. I knew what to tell them to do. I knew how to tell them to work out. I knew what to tell them to eat. But very soon I moved into the middle emoji. And you can probably guess why, because just telling people what to do doesn't work very well. I found that most people knew what to do. They knew they should be working out. They knew how they should be working out in a lot of cases, and they knew how they should be eating. The problem was they didn't know how to get themselves to do it. So here I was telling them, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. But it wasn't working for them. And so they were frustrated, the people that I was working with. And I was also frustrated. Of course, we were both smiling all the time, but things weren't really happening the way that we wanted them to. Both on the part of my clients, they weren't getting the results they wanted, and I wasn't seeing them succeed the way I wanted, because I was just like, hey, you got to do more push-ups, you got to eat more spinach, right? Just telling them what to do. It wasn't working. And so what ended up happening for me is I had to become a little bit of a bookworm. I had to do some learning and some investigating and some really deep thought into how to help my clients to get themselves to do the things they knew they actually wanted to do. And that's what I'm going to share with you tonight. So what ended up coming up for me was I realized that I needed to use with my clients the same things I was using with myself to be successful with health improvements. And I'm going to use this little example of a swing set. Here's what I actually found out, was that there were 6 things that I was focusing on as a personal trainer, but also someone taking care of my own health, right? I was focusing on these 6 things: eat, drink, sleep, think, connect, move. Eat, the things we eat, right? Nutrition. Drink, the things we drink. Sleep, you get the idea, rest and recovery. Think, my relationship with myself had to be healthy, right? How I was dealing with my emotions, how I was dealing with stress, a big part of health. Connect, how healthy were my relationships? How were my connections with other people and with nature as well? That was a big part of my health. And then movement, of course, exercise, working out, right? And what I found was, in my own life, I wasn't doing a program and sticking to it perfectly all the time. But what I was doing was keeping in mind these 6 things and just constantly making sure that each of them was moving forward. So I use the example of the swing set and say, as long as each of the things is moving, I was feeling good. I was moving forward with my health and my own fitness. And from time to time, oh, I haven't been eating all that healthy. Okay, I got to go give that swing another push, right? And get it going again. And then, oh, I haven't been sleeping well. I've been staying up too late watching Netflix. All right, I got to give some attention to the sleep, and I got to give that a push again. And as long as everything was moving and I was maintaining each of the areas well enough for it to help me move forward, I was feeling good and I was enjoying good health and a decent level of, what people call fitness. And what I started to do was teach this to my clients. That was it. I started to teach them the 6 things that they needed to focus on. These are the only 6. I've talked to tons of experts, interviewed them on the podcast, like I mentioned. It's always the same 6. The same 6 things contribute to our health. And so we need to give attention to them on a regular basis. And I keep that in mind with Begin Within, with our company, because that's what we teach our clients, that these 6 things, this is it. This is where you keep your focus. And as long as they're moving forward, you're going to get what you ultimately want. Now, as I was a bookworm, thinking about, what is it that actually keeps me going? The swing set metaphor there. I also did a lot of reading. And so the things that I'm going to share with you tonight came from primarily these 3 books. And you're going to see the theme, I think, really easily when you look at the titles here: Atomic Habits, The Power of Habit, Tiny Habits. See the theme? Habits. Habits are the key. Developing habits in each of those 6 areas on the swing set that we just looked at. If we can figure out which habits we need to develop in each of those areas, and then we work on the habits, great things happen. Health improves, fitness moves forward. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight with the 3 fixes for foolproof fitness. Okay. And when I say foolproof, I'm not telling you you're a fool. I was a fool for a long time until this started to click for me, I started to realize this, and my clients started to get, good results and to be a lot happier once I started to teach these concepts to them. And I'm going to share them with you tonight here. So we're not going to be talking about working out. We're going to be talking about motivation, understanding motivation. We're going to be talking about focusing on habits, and we're going to be talking about how to build a healthy mindset. Those are the 3 fixes for foolproof fitness. I'm going to dig into each one at a time. I'm so glad you're here with me. And if you hang on till the end, I got something really cool to share with you just for being here on the webinar tonight. So first, let's talk about understanding motivation. That's the foolproof fitness fix number 1. Understand motivation. Here's the problem with motivation. Here's why we need to think about motivation when it comes to fitness. And most people know that motivation plays a role, right? And sometimes they say, I just haven't been motivated. That's why I haven't been doing it, right? We think this on the left, I need to get big results, so I need a big solution, right? And we feel that way. Have you ever felt that way? I know I have at different times in my life. And, you're laying in bed at night, you're not sleeping, and you're worrying about whatever it is, health, finances. And all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I got to make a big change. I can't believe I let myself get this far, behind, or I can't believe I let myself get to this point. I need to fix this now. This feels horrible. We think I need a big solution. I need big results. But here's what happens. We try to go big, right? We try to change everything, but it's too difficult to do that. And so we end up giving up. So that's the issue with motivation. And I think this will help even more. If you look at this behavior model from BJ Fogg, this changed my life when it came to improving health, when it came to developing habits, when we start thinking about motivation to do things. And I know you might be looking at this and you're like, Nate, this is just, I can't even handle it. It's Monday evening and I had a long day and I can't figure this thing out. I'm going to tell you what it means. Okay. BJ Fogg, he's the author of the book I showed you just a bit ago, Tiny Habits. And he said this, if something is hard to do, you need high motivation, right? It makes sense, 100%. And so that's what this graph shows is something's hard to do. We need high motivation in order to get it done, right? But the opposite is then true. If we want to do something consistently, we have to make it easy. In other words, if we know motivation is going to change, and it does, sometimes I feel more motivated than other times. So my motivation is going to be low sometimes. Well, if I'm trying to go big and do something big and difficult and complicated, when my motivation's low, it's not going to get done. And that's when we typically give up on the diet, on the workout program, whatever it is. My motivation's low. Oh, I was trying to do this difficult thing. Forget about it. It's just too tough. I let myself down. I feel terrible. And who knows when I'm going to try again. But health and fitness needs to be done consistently. So we need to factor in the fact that we're going to have low motivation at times. And so we need to keep our focus on easy things to do. Look for, we call it the low-hanging fruit. The easiest thing I can do that's going to make the biggest result. What's the thing that's within my grasp that's easy? We focus on making it easy big time. And this is just a little tip from our coaching program. It's a 12-month coaching program. We make it easy by slowly adding things in. We don't like taking things away because that feels hard. We make it easy. We slowly add healthy things in first. And then we also focus on making small changes that have a huge ROI, a huge return on investment. Small changes that have a huge return on investment. That is what we're focused on. And to help you visualize, I have that little spectrum down in the bottom right of this slide. We talk about the healthy spectrum. Some things are less healthy. Some things are more healthy. There aren't good and bad things in our program, but all we need to do is make sure that we're leaning toward more healthy as often as possible. in each of the 6 areas that I showed you before on the swing set. Okay. As long as we're leaning toward healthier, healthier than it was before, healthier than it was last week, we're going to keep moving forward. And that's super exciting because all we need to do is focus on the little areas that will help us to move toward healthy. We don't have to try to change big things, but we can still get big results over time. So, Foolproof Fitness, fix number 1, make it easy. Please make it easy. Focus on the easy things to do. And I'm going to explain a little bit more as we go on how that can impact you. And we'll talk next about focusing on habits. Okay. Keep that in mind about making it easy. And now let's talk about habits, because when we focus on habits, it makes health improvement easy. So the problem with making changes is that oftentimes we read a book or we talk to an expert, personal trainer, for example, or a nutrition coach or a dietitian or whoever, and we learn everything we should be doing differently, right? Okay, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to get rid of all the bad food. I got to get all the good food. We learn all the things we should do, but we end up always falling back into our old habits. And this is where clients often will tell me, Nate, I got to get back on track. What it means is they fell back to their old habits. And so their focus was more than likely in the wrong place. And so we don't say get back on track. We actually say let's get back to normal, because normal is focusing on easy, focusing on healthy habits. And I'm going to explain to you really quickly, going to give you a crash course on habits, okay? Focusing on habits is so important. Here's the reason why. Habits shape as many as 45% of the choices we make every day. And that's very conservative to say 45% of the choices we make every day are habitual. They're automatic. We don't actually consciously decide. We just take action. 45% is very low compared to what a lot of the experts will tell you. Some will say 75, 80, 90% of the things you and I do every single day are habitual, meaning we don't actually stop and think, what should I do here? Should I get out of bed or not? Should I get dressed or not? Should I brush my teeth or not? They're habits. We're going to do it. It's automated. And so what we can do is tap into how habits are created in order to make health and fitness easier. We automate the process as much as we can, right? Focus on an easy thing and we make it into a habit. Here's how habits work. Again, crash course on habits. There's always a cue, right? There's something that happens that tells us we need to do something now. And that's the routine, the thing we're going to do. And then there's always a reward with habits. This is how bad habits happen. Okay. I'll give you an example of a bad habit. I oftentimes, when I sit down to watch football season, right? I feel like I need to be eating something unhealthy. I need to snack on things, right? So the cue is sitting down and watching football. The routine is putting my hand in a potato chip bag and just snacking while I'm watching a game, right? And the reward, of course, is that hit of pleasure that I get from crunching on the chips and the carbohydrates, right? Giving my brain like a little bit of dopamine, and that's the reward. And so the next time I sit down on the couch to watch football, guess what? My brain's like, oh, we got a habit here. We got to do something about this, right? So we understand how maybe negative habits, less healthy habits can get wired into our brain. But we're talking about wiring in healthy habits. We can use this same process to do that. And I have the little puppy on the slide for you, because we do this as we train our pets. We understand how habits are formed, right? So when you're training your dog, you say sit. That's the cue. What does a dog do? The routine is he puts his little tushy on the floor, right? And it looks so cute. And then what do? Reward him right away. Because you know that when you reward him for doing the routine after the cue, sitting his butt on the floor after you said sit, give him the reward, you're going to wire that into his brain after a short amount of time. This little cycle here is why some habits stick and others don't. And when we keep it in mind with health and fitness, guess what? We can wire in, we can automate, we can make habits out of the healthy choices we're trying to make. When we focus on easy and we focus on habits. Okay, so here's 3 steps that we use to create a habit. And this is just how we take advantage of the slide I just showed you, the cue, routine, reward. We do these 3 things. First of all, we find the action that we want to take. We call it the key action. And it's a small piece of a bigger process. So a bigger process like taking a walk, right? A small piece, a key action might be putting my shoes on, my walking shoes, right? The shoes I wear when I go for a walk. When I put those shoes on, it's going to lead me to take the bigger action. Once I have them on, I'm much more likely to take the walk. So with the key action, we're trying to find that one little thing that's going to get us there. Then we stack it. We stack that key action after something that's already happening habitually in our life, something that's already automated. We're going to put the key action after that. And then when we take the key action, put on my shoes for walking, we're going to celebrate. And celebration is just finding a way to make yourself feel good in the moment. The 3 steps to creating a new habit. I'm going to explain them with some visuals here. Again, the goal is I want to take a walk outside every day. The key action is putting on my walking shoes. Now we're going to stack it after something that already habitually happens, and that is finishing my cup of coffee, okay? Or in this case, the client that I might be working with, finishing her cup of coffee. When she finishes that cup of coffee, that's when she's going to take her walk. So guess what we focus on? Getting her shoes on after she finishes the coffee. That's it. We start easy and we focus on the habit of getting those shoes on. So after the coffee's done, boom, get your shoes on. And then we celebrate. This client, her celebration is, I'll tell myself, you're awesome, right? And you see in the picture, the posture there, physical action. If you can take a physical action of celebration, we find that it helps the brain to get that reward wired in. So this is not a reward when I reach my goal weight, that kind of reward. This has to be in the moment, just like giving the treat to your dog, okay? Give the treat to our brain, and it's just a moment of celebration. So you could say, yes, I did it. Yes, way to go. Whatever the celebration is that you can tell yourself, it's going to make you feel good in the moment. And this is an example of how we would build in a healthy habit, okay? So we create habits day in and day out in the 12-month coaching program that I mentioned earlier. We focus on one new habit, one that I assign to each of the clients in the program. Every week or two, they get a new habit. And we have 28 habits that progressively build on each other throughout the 12 months. So can you imagine that? After 12 months, you just learned 28 new healthy habits. How much different would life be? 28 new habits every day that you're doing that are now habitual. They're part of your life to make you healthier in those 6 areas that we looked at on the swing set. Think that would make a big difference for you? I know that it would. So here is Foolproof Fitness fix number 2. Remember, it's about habits. Focus on creating habits. Don't just try to do something because somebody told you got to do this whole thing. Make it easy and create habits. Okay, let's keep rolling. We're going to go to build a healthy mindset. Here's the problem, again, with fitness programs. They tell you how to be perfect so you can improve the outside, right? Oh, if you do everything perfect, yeah, you're going to lose weight. You're going to change sizes. You're going to build muscles. You're going to get stronger, whatever it is, right? The problem is you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And we're really bad at trying to be perfect. So what we do instead is focus on changing our mindset, because if we don't change that, the things on the outside aren't going to change either, or at least not for very long. And I'm not the first one to say that. Here's a quote. This author says once your mindset changes, everything on the outside will change along with it. And it is absolutely true. And that is another problem with diets, with workout programs. They don't really focus on mindset. They don't focus on changing the way we think about food or the way we think about working out, the way we feel and think about ourselves. They don't focus on changing those things. And so the outside doesn't change, or at least not for very long, when we try to do those programs. So here's a couple tips for mindset that I'm going to share with you. Just a couple of random ones, really, that our clients have told me over and over again make a huge difference to them in the process of improving their health and fitness. And the first one is this: act like a pro, act like a professional athlete. Okay. And here's how you do it. Remember, I said no, there's no athletes allowed on the workshop here, but we want to act like one in terms of our mindset. They celebrate like crazy when things go well. And when things don't go well, athletes just move on and forget about it. They don't let it haunt them. They don't let it stick around. They try to get out of the funk as soon as they can and get back to work. So celebrate like crazy when things go well in your fitness program. And when things don't go well, try to learn from it and then move on. And we use Sherlock Holmes a lot. He comes up as I'm talking with individuals who have had perhaps some struggles, things haven't gone the way they planned. We need to act like Sherlock Holmes in the process. Just get curious, right? Investigate. Why didn't it go the way that I expected it to? Why did this habit not work the way that I expected it to? Just investigate a little bit. Reflect on the process. And then make a new plan based on what you learned. So be like Sherlock Holmes in every way except for that pipe that he has in his hand. Don't be like that. Okay. So just stay curious. Focus on the mindset along the way. And we have found in our program that this is huge. So we have regular mindset hacks as well as skill building assignments, psychological visualization exercises and different things that we give throughout that 12-month program that I mentioned to help our clients continue to improve their mindset along the way. And that there's no pass and fail. There's only learning and improvement. And so we do audios, we do little videos, we do things like that along the way to help them to keep their mindset changing. So Foolproof Fitness Fix number 3 is improve your mindset. We have to give attention to it. If we don't change it, the outside is not going to change, or at least not for very long. So there are the 3 fixes to Foolproof Fitness. Make it easy, focus on creating habits, and then build a healthy mindset.